You are familiar with the concept of a mission statement. So companies will publish their mission statement because they want people to know what their goals are. This is our aim as a company. This is what we hope to accomplish. This is the message we send to our customers. And so FedEx, where now meets next. For Coca-Cola to refresh the world. Disney to provide happiness and entertainment for all ages. AT&T to connect people with their world and to keep them on hold while they do that. Everybody publishes their mission statement. Aren't you glad we don't have to guess what Jesus' mission was while he was on the earth? We don't have to wonder, well, why did Jesus come? What was his purpose? What did he hope to accomplish? What was his aim while he was in flesh? He tells us his mission in Mark's Gospel, chapter 10. It was a conversation that started between Jesus and two of his apostles, but then he spoke to the rest and delivered for us his mission statement. Mark chapter 10. These disciples came to him, verse 35, James and John, the two sons of Zebedee, and said to him, Teacher, we want you to do whatever we ask of you. And he said, What do you want me to do for you? They said to him, Give to us that we may see in your glory, one on your right and one on your left. But Jesus said to them, You do not know what you are asking for. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or to be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? And they said to him, We are able. And Jesus said to them, The cup that I drink, you shall drink, and you shall be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized. But to sit on my right or my left, that is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared. And hearing this, the 10 began to feel indignant with James and John. And calling them to himself, Jesus said to them, You know that those who are recognized as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them. They great men exercise authority over them, but it is not so among you. But whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you shall be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. Does that sound like a mission statement? Here, James and John, to the apostles, are wanting positions of authority. When you come in your kingdom, Lord, let us have a spot on your right or left. Prominence and power. And Jesus said, You've missed the whole point of my kingdom. For even the Son of Man has not come to be served. He's come to be a servant and to perform the greatest act of service ever known to mankind, to give his life a ransom for many. This was powerfully illustrated for me by a brother one time after I had preached. And he said, You know, you only have two options in your life, two approaches. He said, You can wear a bib, which is serve me, give me, bring me. Or he said, You can choose to wear an apron and be a servant. And folks, we will never be like our Master. We will never embrace the mission of Jesus until we choose to wear an apron and serve, to become servants. And the church of Jesus Christ needs servants. Well, how do we make this our mission? How do we become more like Jesus? I want to suggest three things carefully and quickly from our text about how to be transformed into servants. What are servants known for? Well, first, they're known as volunteers. And all the Tennessee fans said, amen. Volunteers. These are those who apply, who are not forced to be servants, but they apply willingly for the job. Did you notice that Jesus twice used the word wishes in verse 43 and verse 44? Did you notice that? Whoever wishes to be great must become a servant. Whoever wishes to be first must be slave of all. It's something you desire. And then he said about his own mission, I did not come to be served, but to serve and to give. That's voluntary. Nobody forced Jesus to be a servant. In the passage our brother read so ably for us, he emptied himself. He humbled himself. He said in the great passage about being a good shepherd, I lay down my life on my own initiative. Nobody takes this from me. I lay it down so I may take it up again. That's a servant. If any man wishes to come after me, let him take up his cross and follow. It's something you volunteer for. I remember going for a meeting for a church I'd never been to before, and the preacher picked me up, and we were going from the airport, and I said, well, tell me about the church here. And he said, well, you need to know before the meeting starts that half of the church suffers from a drug problem. And I'm thinking, let's see, if we do a U-turn here, I think I can get on the next plane back to Houston. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, tomorrow morning, he said, half of them will look like they've been drugged to church. I mean, they don't want to be there. They're not excited to be there, and it shows in their faces. Is that the kind of impression we want people to know about Christianity, is that I have to go to church? That's the way we say it. Hey, come to the lake with us this weekend. No, I have to go to church. Hey, we're going to see that new movie Wednesday night. Well, you ought to come with us. No, I have to go to Bible class. With the same enthusiasm as if I have to go to the dentist next week. Did Jesus have to go to the cross? Did he have to be a servant? No, he volunteered. Sometimes you go to the restaurant and you're served by someone who doesn't really like their job. And maybe it's their second or third job. Maybe there are no other jobs available, and they're just trying to make ends meet. But you can tell they didn't set out to be a server. And then you go to Chick-fil-A. Oh boy. And it doesn't matter what you say. What will they tell you? My pleasure. That gets our attention. My pleasure. I mean, you could say to them, thank you for being annoying today. And they'd say, my pleasure. Try that the next time you go. Would people say that it is your pleasure to serve the Lord? It's what you want to do, and you couldn't imagine doing anything else with your life but to serve Him willingly. Service is for volunteers. Let's show our voluntary spirit. Here am I. Send me. Let's do that willingly. Second, service is for the selfless. You want to be transformed into following Jesus' mission? Then be a selfless servant, because there's no such thing as a selfish servant. Here, their request, did you notice how they phrased it? James and John, the sons of thunder. Sounds like a wrestling team, doesn't it? But notice how they phrased their request in verse 37. What do you think they emphasized? Give to us that we may sit in your glory, one on your right and one on your left. Don't you know they were thinking about themselves? Let others see that we're Jesus' right and left hands. That we're the ones He turns to and says, go do this, because we're important. Give to us. Well, they certainly didn't learn that from their master. His whole life was about other people and seeing to the needs of others over Himself, even when He was on the cross. Sometimes we call those the 7 statements or 7 sayings of Jesus on the cross. Think about it. Father, forgive. They know not what they do. Today, you will be with me in paradise. Mary, behold your son. John, behold your mother. What was he doing? The firstborn, making sure his mother would be cared for. Others above himself. One day the kids, when they were younger, as was often the case in our house, were in a competition about who could do this first, who could say that first. We were all in the kitchen, and Melissa said to them, who's going to be selfless? One of them said, I'll be selfless first. There's no such thing as a selfish servant. A few years back, the elders at Southside, for a trial period, used, as you do here, the paperless hymnal. So instead of us using the songbooks, the songs were going to be put on the screens. And they said, we're going to do this for several weeks, and we'd solicit feedback from the church as to how that's being received. And it surprised me when they told me the first demographic who spoke up and were in favor of it, because it was the older people. They said, you know, these books are heavy. And the pages are hard to turn, and when we stand up to sing, we got to hold on to the pew and hold a songbook. They said, it's helping our worship just to look up to the screen and sing. And the next group who spoke up and were in favor of it were mothers with young children. And they said, you know, it's hard to wrestle a kid in a diaper bag and a songbook. This is helping our worship. Now, this was not a matter of truth and error, right and wrong. It's the same information in the book as on the screen. It's a matter of personal preference. And there were some who did not care for it. They didn't like it. But do you know what they said? They said, if it's helping their worship, we're all for it. Because it's not about me. It's about serving our brothers and sisters, giving preference to one another in honor. Romans 12 and verse 10. A selfless disposition. Do you have to have your way? then you can't be a servant and you can't follow Jesus. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life a ransom for many. What makes a servant? It's volunteers, selfless, and number 3, the humble. Service requires a humble demeanor. Jesus said that the Gentiles, their rulers, their lords, they want to be great. They want to be first. But he said, not so among you. In verse 43, the great must be the servant. Verse 44, the first must be the slave of all. That takes humility. Jesus at the Last Supper did not wear a bib and say, this is my last night on earth, come serve me. No, he put on an apron and washed their feet. All of them. Even Peter, even Judas. He was the slave of all. You know, we can be pretty good servants if I get to decide who I'll serve and who I don't. When it's the wife of one of the elders, she's in the hospital, we'll go visit, we'll take food, we'll be available. What if it's the brother or sister who's just always barely hanging on? I mean, they're always kind of in the periphery, and we're never sure week to week whether they're even going to be there. Are we as willing to drop everything and serve what Jesus said, the least of my brothers? When you do that, you've served me. Will we humble ourselves to be the servant of all? To wash one another's feet. Jesus took on the form of a bondservant. He humbled himself by being obedient even to the death of the cross. Don't you love that great hymn written by our departed brother Matt Bassford? Make me a servant. You know what the second verse says? Listen to it. Make me a servant. Take all my pride. I used to wish that I was taller. But I think now this was the Lord's way of keeping me closer to the ground, because He knew I would struggle with pride. Take all my pride, Lord, because it takes humility to be a servant. Servants don't ask, well, they wouldn't do that for me. I mean, I'm busy. Humble demeanor. To follow in the steps of our Master. James and John did drink the cup. They were baptized with the baptism of suffering. John was the first of the apostles to be executed in Acts chapter 12. Somebody who was a son of thunder was probably pretty obvious, and I can just see Herod pointing to him and saying, I want that guy dead. And they killed him with the sword, cut his head off. John, his brother, went on to be what we sometimes call the aged apostle. We don't know how he died, but he wrote John, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, Revelation. There was a Roman coin that had a picture of an ox facing either a plow or an altar. He was either going to be sacrificed or he was going to be a servant. And the inscription of the coin said, "Ready for either." And that was James and John. One was ready to go be sacrificed. The other was ready to be hitched to the plow to serve. Ready for either. You ready to be a servant? To have him say to you, "Well done, good and faithful servant." And you know what we can say in return? Mission accomplished. The first service you may need to do this morning is to give your life, to surrender it to Jesus Christ, confess your faith in Him, and be baptized. If you need the prayers and encouragement of your fellow servants here this morning who love you and want to help you and have some need in the gospel, you'll have opportunity right now to make that known. Just come to the front as together we stand up and while we sing.